Homeland Security warns ahead of National Day of Rage. What's going on, guys? Make Electric. It is the 21st of August, 2014. First link I got from the Daily Caller. The U.S. Department of Homeland Security has issued a bulletin drawing attention to the hacktivist group Anonymous, plans for nationwide protest, and the police shooting death of Michael Brown in Ferguson, Missouri. Apparently this is to happen today. The group called for a National Day of Rage on Thursday to span 38 major U.S. cities. The Threat Management Division of the Federal Protective Service issued a bulletin. Currently, there is no indication that protests are expected to become violent. However, recent protests in Ferguson have resulted in violence, property damage, yada yada goes on. This is the first I've heard about this just overnight. I'll put a link to it. Anybody else have any info on that? I got some updates to give you as far as Ferguson goes. Holder tells Ferguson students he was victim of racial profiling. Put this from the Hill. I didn't think Eric Holder coming here would make any difference, and I'm certainly not a fan of Eric Holder, as all of you know. But I do think him talking to people here calmed things down just a little bit. It was a good night last night. Peaceful, most peaceful night so far, I should say. Ferguson protesters want grand jury to deliver justice. The information is being handed over to grand jury. I think that also helped bring in the calm. Meanwhile, St. Anne officer suspended indefinitely for pointing assault rifle at Ferguson protester and threatening his life. Put a link to that if you're not aware of it. I think that's a good sign. I think the people are starting to see some different actions, which is helping the situation calm down, which is exactly what we need right now. Meanwhile, several school districts canceled classes after National Guard called into Ferguson. I believe they've canceled until the beginning of next week. Probably a good idea amidst all of the chaos that's going on in that area. You don't need school kids and school buses and whatnot. I say let it die down a little bit. Meanwhile, Egypt trolls U.S. about Ferguson protests, forgets its own humanitarian record. I'll put a link to this from Your World Post. How ironic. Meanwhile, the New York Post, cop involved in Ferguson shooting has fractured eye socket, says report. This came out August 19th. It would have been nice to have this sort of information in the beginning. Then you wouldn't have so many people rioting and transparency. Why did this stuff not come out in the beginning? In fact, in the beginning, the Ferguson Police Department acted like they didn't even know there was a shooting when the St. Louis County Police was calling them. They didn't seem to know, yet the media was calling St. Louis County saying, what's going on in Ferguson? So, maybe it turns out this officer was injured in the struggle. Transparency up front is the key, in my opinion. Supporters of Darren Wilson reportedly roughed up by Ferguson protesters has come out. Actually, this happened last night. Put a link to that from EDIT. Yes, these people should have their First Amendment freedom of speech as well. However, do you really want to go into the hot zone where tensions are high over the killing? I don't know. Maybe not the smartest idea. President of St. Louis County Police Association says they may sue Missouri State Highway Patrol. I figured some of this kind of crap was coming on. The county's pissed off that they were taken out of command and Highway Patrol was put in. Meanwhile, Bloomberg has this Ferguson sued by National Bar Association over Brown documents. Everybody's suing everybody. I don't know what's going to come about all that. Disinformation has been, let me just give you this. The photo of supposedly Michael Brown pointing a gun with cash in his mouth with the Hawaiian punch in the background, that wasn't him. That was posted by, I believe, an officer out of Kansas City. I'll put a link to that because people were sending me that picture, and I couldn't verify that. Now it comes out that was actually someone else in another city, a murder suspect. Ferguson violence prompts call for same type of police body cameras being tested in Indiana. Right on. I agree. Dash cams, body cams, audio, video. Although we've seen several times now that these things seem to be malfunctioning when certain events are going on, I do think it's a good idea. That way you got all your bases covered. We got new video released, 911 calls in Tuesday's officer-involved shooting. Apparently, 2 St. Louis City police officers opened fire on a man who was charging them with a knife. This, unlike the Michael Brown situation, complete transparency, in my opinion, and I know it's probably not going to be the most popular opinion, but this was a completely justified shooting. These officers pulled up. This man had a knife, was coming at him. They did what they had to do. A lot of people are saying, well, they could have used less lethal force. I agree. I would certainly like to see that. It's definitely not a good thing having another shooting, especially when tensions are already high. However, I don't see a lot of outrage over this because of all the facts being released up front. Good job to the St. Louis Metropolitan Police Department for doing that, because that's a mistake they made in Ferguson. All the police standing around while crowds are gathering. Meanwhile, no information is coming out. when our police chief in the city got up on TV immediately and told people what happened. I think that was key. So, again, I would have liked to see non-fatal response, but if you come at a St. Louis City police officer with a knife or any other weapon, he feels his life is in danger, you better expect to be killed. He has every right to protect his life so he can go home to his family in the morning. I'll put the first link, and I'll put the second link is to the raw video, 3 minutes long. Your opinions on that? Again, I know my opinion's not going to be popular, but that's how I feel. I'm not going to self-censor myself just because people might not like it. I got some other news to tell you about. Utah protesters demand justice for Dylan Taylor. Others killed by police. This is something new that happened. I'll put a link to it. I haven't had time to look into that. Apparently another shooting in Utah. Somebody shot by the cops. And an FYI, U.S. Defense helicopters training in counties and Twin Cities with no warning. Low-flying choppers in St. Paul, Minneapolis. I'll put a link to this. I covered it in my last one. Here's an updated link on that. I do have some notes to go over. Tuesday night in Ferguson. No tear gas, no rubber bullets. 2 guns were removed, as were guns removed the previous night from the crowd. Bottles were thrown Tuesday. However, the police exercised a lot more restraint, in my opinion. Last night, it was completely peaceful. You had a couple small incidents, but no gas, no rubber bullets. I think the police have pretty well gotten a handle on it. It did rain for a little bit, which I do think that cleared some of the crowd out. However, after 10 o'clock, the rain stopped. You know, people could have come back out if they were going to start problems. They didn't. National Guard is still holding at the command center. My first opinion of the National Guard being here is it's absolutely unnecessary. However, I didn't know at that time that they were only going to guard the command center, so I don't so much have a problem with that. It certainly seems like the police can do a better job controlling what's going on the street if they don't have to worry about their command center coming under attack. Less police state, more cops talking to people. The clergy is in attendance. Officers walking up and down the street with the protesters. I think that's a good thing. This community needs to know above all else that the police are not coming in there to kill them. And when they rolled in with tactical gear and body armor and shields and, you know, assault rifles, they definitely sent the wrong message in the beginning of this thing, in my opinion. I think now it's looking a lot better. What else we got? That's pretty much all I got, guys. Again, I'd like your opinions on the shooting that happened in the city. Do you think it was justified? Those links are certainly below. In my opinion, certainly those officers could have used less lethal force, but I was not there. And you guys know how I feel about the St. Louis City Police. I trust them to make that call. If they feel like their life is in danger, they have every right to use lethal force. Not to mention, if you listen to the 911 calls, 2 different store owners, this man just shoplifted, and he came out and was pacing on the sidewalk out there. I think it was owner of a barber shop called the police and said the man's got a knife. They locked their doors because they didn't want him coming in there. So he was obviously something that needed to be dealt with. I'll just put it that way. Anyway, guys, that's all the updates I got. Sorry this is such a long video. I just want to make sure I gave you everything. National Day of Rage today. What do you guys think about that? Has anybody subscribed to me participating in that? Because this is the first I've heard of it just overnight. It's about the end of the madness I got now. Until the next one, you guys take care, stay safe. I'll see you on the next one.